From the Clark Ford Studio in Oxford, Mississippi, MBW Digital proudly presents the Oxford Exxon Podcast.
I'd say thanks for tuning in, but why am I going to give you a round of applause for something that you're supposed to do, to be frank?
And now, here are your hosts, Chase Parham.
And broadcast school has really paid off.
And Neal McCready.
I deserve to be on TV.
Friday edition of the Oxford Exxon Podcast. I am Chase Parham here in the Clark Ford Studio, and as is the case for every single Friday during football season, you're going to get the recorded version of our live show at Funky's on the Oxford Square. Those are happening every Thursday night around 5:30. Neal and I will have a guest every single week. We'll talk football. We'll go over Neal's picks, which are now up on the site at rebelgrove.com as well. We'll go over those first on Thursday night, and a familiar face joining us this week, Jeffrey Wright. Came down from Memphis. He and I played golf earlier in the day, and then we headed out to Funky's to talk a lot of Ole Miss and Texas Tech, and then also go over all the picks, as well as just kind of get some previews of the teams in the SEC based on who they've got in the early weeks, their schedules. We talk a lot about Ed Orgeron. The name Ralph Webb even makes a couple appearances as well, as I catch a little grief for that. So good show last night at Funky's. You'll hear that in a second here on the Oxford Exxon Podcast. I'll tell you that with the Oxford Exxon, go by and get some ribs. Sunday and Monday, Labor Day coming up. So they're going to get some specials on Sunday and Monday. Head on over to the Oxford Exxon, get $25 for 2 slabs of ribs. 3 slabs of ribs are $33 there at the Oxford Exxon. They've got wet or dry. You can call ahead. They'll be wrapped up and ready to go. Neal and I have both done it for a lot of different holidays throughout the years there with the good people at the Oxford Exxon. Get the Speed Pass Plus app. Go in, get a daiquiri, and much more. Clean restrooms, clean convenience store there with Blue Sky and the Oxford Exxon. Next door at the Oxford Crystal, you get some mint and cheese bites if you so wish. And again, you're going to need a vehicle to get there. So I am in the Clark Ford Studio. 662-257-1900 is the number for Clark Ford. It is in Amory on Highway 25 South. And remember, as always, you give them a call. You get a quote, 15 minutes. They have that quote to you. You can shop it around or just take it and get your vehicle there from Clark Ford. And when you're at the end of the paperwork, tell them you heard about it on the podcast. $500 more off through Clark Ford there in Amory. Also on Saturday morning, if you're in Oxford, Funky's is going to have a watch party. They're going to open at 10 a.m. for Ole Miss and Texas Tech. Couple different specials they're going to throw at you for game day. They're going to do $4 red and blue daiquiris. They're going to do $15 chicken Alfredo pizza and $4 screwdrivers there on the Oxford Square. So take advantage of that. We'll have plenty more information as the week goes on about other parties, other different things going on. But appreciate everybody that came out last night. I will say that for those in attendance, they caught the first 5 or 6 minutes of Jeffrey heckling me about the wedding that I attended last weekend. I didn't hit the record button. It was by accident. It was not just because I was the subject of that of that torture, but I just didn't. I was an idiot. I didn't hit the record button, so you're going to miss that. But as far as substance for the rest of the show, you're going to get about 55 minutes or so with Neal, myself, and Jeffrey coming up. As soon as we start talking football, I noticed my error and I corrected it. So that is going to be coming up here on today's Oxford Exxon Podcast. We've also got a beer garden up on the site with Ryan Brown. He's one of your favorites. He talks tons of college football, previewing week 1 of the college football season with Ryan. So check that out also through MPW Digital. We've had the greatest pod in the South. We've had an Oxford Crystal beer garden. We've had a soft verbal presented by Billy's Pecans. And now also the final Oxford Exxon Podcast of the week. Coming up now with myself, Neal McCready, and Jeffrey Wright. Enjoy.
Against the other's defense, but we don't really know which defense is going to wind up getting more stops. And to me, when you look at the teams that have stopped Texas Tech under Cliff Kingsbury, it's been teams that have largely sat back in zone coverage, but then they've been able to rush with 4. I mean, football's not complicated. It's if you can put 7 in coverage and rush 4 and get pressure, it's usually a pretty good way to beat a passing team. But then you look at it on the flip side, I think Dylan and I were talking, I think half of Texas Tech's passes last year resulted in a first down or better. So, I mean, if you're Ole Miss, I can't think of a better matchup when you want to throw the football because you have 2 bona fide NFL guys and probably a 3rd bona fide NFL receiver. I got to figure if you're looking at the matchups, like to me, I lean towards Ole Miss only because it's a toss-up and I'd rather have the points.
Are we buying that they're actually going to run the ball more than 50% of the time? I know Aaron was talking about on Thursday that he actually runs it more than maybe gets credit for. A&M was a heavy rushing team when Kingsbury was offensive coordinator there, but even though
that's a little misleading. They really weren't. Johnny just ran. Johnny took off and ran a lot.
Here's the thing.
They weren't a true running team.
If you watch film of Ole Miss from a year ago, and again, they have. If you watch film of Ole Miss from a year ago and you factor in Breland Speaks is not there anymore and that he's going to play for Kansas City. He's not on a practice squad. He's going to play. And you factor in that they're going to lose DeMarcus Gates, who had 119 tackles a year ago. As much fun as we all sort of had with it, they have to replace Taylor Polk, who was a consistent presence on that defense. They have to replace Marquise Haynes off the edge. They replaced those with a true freshman and essentially a redshirt freshman. I know that Sanogo played, and he's not technically a freshman, but he's a freshman. He didn't play many meaningful snaps. If you watch that film and you're going in with an inexperienced quarterback of your own in McLean Carter, hell yeah, you're going to try to run the football. And they have an experienced offensive front. Will it work? I don't know. I mean, that's the whole thing. When people talk about this game, I think there's this temptation, and we all do it, to go, man, both teams are just going to air it out. Both teams are just going to throw the thing all over the damn place. I don't think that's the case. I think early on, both teams are going to try to establish a running attack. Ole Miss wants Scotty Phillips to get some confidence running the football. They want to force Texas Tech and every other team that's watching it on film to defend the run, because that's the only way that all those receivers become maximum effective. I mean, look, A.J. Brown's going to get his. DK Metcalf's going to get his. DeMarcus Lodge is going to get his. But if you want to maximize those guys, you've got to have safeties that have their eyes in the backfield a little bit. You have to have people that are you have to have linebackers that are being serious about the run. You can't just consistently, I don't give a damn how good your receivers are, you can't consistently stay in 3rd and 9 and move the chains. It just doesn't work like that. It like Jeffrey said, it's at the end of the day, it's not that complicated. So I think both teams are going to try to run the ball. It's one of the reasons I like the under. I think both teams try to run it. Texas Tech would love nothing more than to establish a running game early, because it does two things. One, it keeps A.J. Brown and DK Metcalf and those guys on the sideline. And two, it lets McLean Carter get comfortable. It lets him ease in.
Texas Tech favored by 2, over and under at this point, 67.5. And as Dylan and we had talked about earlier in the week, the public huge on the over, the public big on Ole Miss, the Sharps on Tech, and then the Sharps about 50-50 actually on the under. A lot of them jumping on kind of the opposite of that knee-jerk reaction, because I see Twitter where when I post that over-under, everybody goes, hey, over, 2 offenses, they're going to score, it's going to be in the 80s. There's a good segment of the Vegas insiders going under on this game.
Well, Jeffrey loves second half lines. Yes. I love the second half over. I don't like the first half over.
Well, like, weirdly, I don't know exactly what it was last year, because Ole Miss couldn't stop anyone, but they actually wound up going under in, like, the month of November. It was remarkable how often the game was going under. Like, even I think the Arkansas game, I think it ended up being, like, right at the number. But the A&M game went under. Remember, the A&M game, it was like teams were trading touchdowns for the first 20 minutes.
Well, in the second half, A&M did not score an offensive touchdown in the second half, and Ole Miss didn't really do much either.
No, but, okay, so I guess this is my other issue with Ole Miss. And I'm a little more skeptical on Jordan Ta'amu than I think most everyone else is, because, you know, our buddy Barrett Sallee basically picked Ole Miss to go 9-3, and so if that's the case, that means Barrett truly believes in Ta'amu. But if you look at the games that he played really well, I mean, it was Arkansas, it was first half A&M,
late against Kentucky. Those are 3 of the worst. I think they were 3 of the other worst team. The other worst defense was Ole Miss. So those were like 3 of the worst defenses last year. And really, I mean, you look at the state game, he hit 2 big passes, but other than that, he still completed less than 50% of his passes. I don't know. I'm not as sold that Ole Miss is upgraded at the quarterback position as maybe some others are.
See, I think he'll be better, but I'm like you. I do. There is a certain degree of we got asked this question all week. Who do you like better? Who's a better quarterback, Shea Patterson or Jordan Ta'amu? And I know this in this age of hot takes, this was not the best answer in the world. But can I watch a couple of games? Oh, because I know Ta'amu had an offseason where he knows he's the guy, which is completely opposite of the last offseason. He's had a summer where he was the guy that was the organizer, which was the complete opposite of last summer. And now he's had some games. And he admitted when I talked to him, it was just me and him for a little while. We talked about it. It was, yeah, I know. I realized I have to watch more film. I've got to get in. I've got to study. And from talking to everybody over there, he's really dived into that part of his game. How does that part transition from the film room onto the field from a comfort level? Does he take the next step? How quickly does he take the next step? And how big is that step? Those are all question marks.
I mean, and to me, the other aspect of it is, I mean, let's get real for a second. The Pattersons and Shea, they were taxing. Just in general, their presence was taxing. Shea didn't have the...
What are you trying to say?
I'm just saying in general.
You're saying Sean Sr. maybe took picks too seriously? And
I think there's an element of that, but I think more importantly, I think maybe Shea's attitude was probably not what you would have wanted from your starting quarterback. And I think anytime you have that situation and you get into a situation where now the backup gets to play and the backup's a little bit more popular, I think it's easy to fall into the trap. And then when the backup has a little bit of success, I personally think Shea Patterson probably would have had very similar numbers against Kentucky, Arkansas, and honestly, I think against Mississippi State. I think the numbers would have been similar, but I think the presence and the emotional wear and tear that came with the Pattersons, I think that caused maybe the reaction to Jordan's success to maybe go excessive.
Jordan had more poise, and I think that's what was one thing that was noticeable on the field, even in the games you talk about. I know it's worse defenses, but
I texted
you look
Neil.
at it. Shea always liked to just immediately pull it down and go, and it's because he was the best player on the field pretty much his entire high school career and early on in some of the games against weaker competition. So when that second read wasn't there, pull it down, take off, and go about your business, and that did not fit the offense. So when Ta'amu actually sat in the pocket, I do think that was a noticeable difference between the two.
I mean, I texted Neil, I don't remember if it was the LSU game or who they play right after it. Was it Arkansas? Was it LSU then Arkansas last year?
Yeah.
I remember texting Neil in the first half, I think, of the Arkansas game, oh, wow, it looks like Jordan's actually, looking at the defense, going through a progression, because Shea was basically... First read, if first read wasn't there, he had this really bad tendency to not only leave the pocket, but he bailed so badly that he bailed basically right into the arms of defensive ends. And so it was just killing him. It's like instead of just even throwing it away and having a chance for 2nd and 10, he was getting them into 2nd and 25, and it was just they were constantly always behind the chains. But and I don't want it to seem like that I don't think Jordan is capable of being the quarterback of this offense, because there's lots of weapons, especially in the perimeter. I don't think it's that hard of a job, relatively speaking. But I feel like we might have been overdoing it on just exactly how successful he was. He was good, but I mean, we saw it in that A&M game, man. Once in the second half, Chavis's adjustment was just to shift to Bear, basically, which they just started putting basically 3 guys in between the guard gaps and the center gaps and just bull rushing him head on. And I mean, it was bad news bears. I mean, Jordan looked lost almost.
I got to know what Scotty Phillips does. Give me his final line on Saturday, and I'll give you a better gauge of what I really think. I mean, I think it's the other unknown. Here's a JUCO running back who they recruited to come in and be the guy, and he's the guy.
He's going to have more than 25 touches on Saturday.
Yeah, I would certainly think so, because I don't know who else gets touches back there now that Swinney's out. Because I think Swinney was going to get 6 to 8 touches, and Swinney was going to be the third down guy that came in and was sort of a pass protection specialist. we haven't seen enough practice to know whether he can or can't. I'm not saying that Scottie Phillips can't do these things. I don't know. Maybe he can. How proficient is he in pass protection? How much can he pick up quickly? And then if something happens and he just needs a breather, which is realistic, does Isaiah Woolard know enough pass protection? Is he proficient enough at pass protection where you can stay in the scheme that you want to run? Because you talk about, and you're right, you talk about the poise that Tamu showed. A lot of that is he's stuck with the progressions a little longer than Shea did. Shea had a tendency, first guy's covered, second guy's kind of covered, I'm out of here. I'm going to go make a play. And
it was kind of a Jalen Hurts school of quarterbacking where first read, bail right. It's just the difference was Shea would try to extend the play and keep throwing, and then he'd usually throw picks.
But Jordan Wilkins was exceptional at pass protection. It's one of the reasons he's potentially
snaps with the Colts.
He's potentially starting his rookie debut with the Colts. I mean, he's very good at that. I'm not saying Phillips won't be. I just need to see it. It's one of the reasons when people talk about making a bet on this game. I just couldn't put any money on a game like this because there's so many unknowns. It's just kind of unpredictable.
Am I wrong for thinking I just want to take Eric Swinney to Tunica with me and then ask whatever he's betting, I want to just do the exact opposite? Because that guy has like the worst luck of any human being of all time.
It is remarkable that he finally stays healthy.
And he gets mono.
And all of the stuff. And then he gets mono right before the opener. And
ladies,
I don't think it's a massive, like this devastating loss or anything like that. It's just, but you lose depth and you lose that security blanket that if it's 3rd and 6, he was the guy that was going to run in there and he can catch the ball out of the backfield. He knows the offense backwards and forwards and all of those things. And I don't know that you can or can't say that about the other guys in that offense. And as it pertains to Woolard and as it pertains to Tylen Knight, look, they both seem like really nice kids. I hope they have great careers, but they don't look the part of every down backs. They're awfully small. Can those guys hold up? If something happens to Phillips and he goes down in the first quarter with a hamstring or an ankle, what do you do with your running game? It's where I keep coming back to this same thing where I have this one question for Hugh Freeze, and it's not about escorts and massages and stuff. It's about how did you let an SEC program, how did you let your program go to a place where your running back situation and your linebacker situation looks like what Ole Miss's looks like today?
I'd have a couple of other questions for him.
I know you would have other questions, but that would be one of my big ones. How did you get there? How did you get to a place where your running back depth looks like this?
As many questions that we have, we all have Ole Miss picked to win the game on Saturday.
Wow, what a bunch of homers we are, huh?
Yeah.
Guess we don't hate Ole Miss, Houston Nutt.
In the 30s, Jeffrey the only one with even a score in the 40s. He's got 41-38, 31-35.
How is Ole Miss better on defense? Explain it to me. Like I'm asking a legitimate question. I'm not even trying to be. I'm not even trying to be.
I don't think anyone could present any empirical data right now that would support that the defense being better.
We take a break from the show to tell you that this podcast is brought to you by Robert Gambrell and Gambrell and Associates. Robert knows that many of the people listening to this podcast will never need a bankruptcy attorney or a Social Security disability attorney. However, many of you may be interested in reviewing your financial situation to consider asset protection. This is a part of what a good bankruptcy attorney does. And also, many of you have friends and or relatives that get into difficult financial situations. Gambrell and Associates helps many people work through their times of hardship, whether that results in filing a bankruptcy petition or working to avoid a bankruptcy filing. Others are primarily worried about their credit scores. For those people, many times Gambrell and Associates refer their clients to Brian McLaurin, another advertiser on this podcast. Sometimes people find the easiest way to rebuild credit is similar to what the Cubs did. Tear it down, start over. This can be done by filing for relief under Chapter 7 to get a fresh start. Whatever your needs are, you, your relatives, or friends can get a free consultation for 1 hour or more to help make your decision on what is best for you. Check out Robert Gambrell on avvo.com, superlawyers.com, or give him a call, 662-281-8255. 8800. This podcast is also brought to you by Grenada Nissan. If you're in the market for a Nissan vehicle, look no further than Grenada Nissan, located just off Interstate 55 in Grenada, Mississippi. Grenada Nissan has a complete selection of new and previously owned Nissan vehicles, great lease deals as well. Gene and Sandy have been with the website, the podcast, a long time. They're great people, great service, great product. You will love doing business with the people at Grenada Nissan. It's GrenadaNissanUSA.com. The podcast also brought to you by Harry Alexander. Harry is an Oxford-based RE/MAX legacy realty agent. Harry's been in Oxford more than 4 decades. No one knows the residential and condo market in Oxford better than Harry. Go to his site. He'll prove it to you. It's HarryAlexander.com. Click on the Properties Neighborhoods tab. Filter through by what you are looking for, and then send him an email. It's HA@HarryAlexander.com. And Rebel Nation, 2018 is the year of the fan. Ole Miss Athletics wants to showcase your stories and recognize you, the Ole Miss fan base. Exciting prizes and experiences throughout the year will be featured on omyearofthefan.com and updated often, so be sure to visit omyearofthefan.com.
Ole Miss could not stop a nosebleed last year.
So what's the thing you want? Like, if they gave you one stat, then as we move forward, you're picking Ole Miss to win. So what's the one thing they gave you? What is it?
Football gods come down and they say you can have one stat.
McLean's completion percentage.
Just his percentage.
Yeah.
What's your over under? What's the thing?
If he hits 60% of his passes or more, they're toast.
Ole Miss
Yes.
loses if Carter hits 60% of his passes.
I'm proud of you getting the name right. That a boy. Good job.
But I mean, if they do that, that means in general, Ole Miss is going to be giving up 8 yards, 3 in every 5 plays. That's not good.
I would agree with that. I would think if you told me that he throws 63.6% complete, that's trouble.
I just want to see turnovers. Texas Tech had 29 turnovers last year. Aaron Dickens was talking about they've had at least 23 or 24, 3 of the 4 years under David Gibbs. If Ole Miss turns it over more than 2 times, they're in trouble. But if they hold on to the ball, I just think offensively, Tech's defense still isn't good. So they score a lot of points. Yeah. They end up outscoring them, and they win the game.
I want to see Ole Miss's rushing yards. Show me 110 or above, and I'll show you Ole Miss winning.
Just 110 as a team.
Yep. See, just enough to keep them quasi honest.
They're so dependent. Like, when Freeze used to always talk about explosive plays, it's because they're just so dependent. Like, they don't have drives. Like, even last year, they don't have drives. It's just at a certain point, they hit a big play, and then they capitalize on the big play. So I don't know, like, rushing yards for Ole Miss, to me, it's almost like you want to see what was their time of possession. Did they hold the ball for more than – and I know people tell you time of possession is overrated. I don't think it's overrated with Ole Miss because – their defense is on the field so much.
And it's so thin.
And they're not super talented. So you need to minimize the amount of time that they're on the field. But
look, even if the starting linebackers that we have questions about, let's just say for the heck of it that they're just awesome. Who are the backups? And they've got to play some too. So to your point,
I mean, I think Texas Tech averaged like 88 plays last year, something like that.
Yeah, if you're on the field as a defense for 39 minutes, You're playing into your second and third units.
Yeah, Mohamed Sanogo and Ruggs are going to start. And then they're going to play Dietrich Bing-Dukes, and they're going to play Willie
still
Hibbler.
Here?
Yeah.
Good for him.
Senior. And then maybe Josh Clark. That's it. They're going to run 4 or 5. I know.
He wasn't on the depth chart.
Yeah, he wasn't on the depth chart.
If you believe the depth charts.
Yeah. We'll come back to Ole Miss here in a little bit.
Did y'all see Auburn's depth chart?
What?
No.
Gus? I mean, we all know the joke. I mean, Auburn legitimately ran a play with 12 guys on the field against Ole Miss. But, again, Auburn couldn't get any kind of calls the next week against A&M. But Gus reinvented offense this week. He had 14 starters on offense.
If you can pull that off, you'll win.
I like the chance. I mean, we learned from every good offensive coach, it's all about numbers.
We'll get to that game here in a little bit. Texas A&M kicking off the SEC season tonight, playing Northwestern State, not spending any time at all whatsoever on this game. However, Jimbo gets his second chance with the Korean marching band tonight as they take the field there in College Station.
Did y'all see
He's going to be in culture shock, if nothing else, tonight, which might be the best thing about the game.
Did y'all see that video from last night? I don't know if it was the Rivals guy. Like, someone that covered the team went to the yell practice that they do at midnight.
Was Jimbo there?
Jimbo was not there, but like the way the music and the way the thing was lit, like the actual like lighting of the stadium, It legitimately looked like a deleted scene from Triumph of the Will.
It's a cult. We've been
It was
over this
unbelievable.
multiple times.
Like, I was like, did we get to Nuremberg here? Like, what is going on here? Like, it was like the sound. Yes or no, Chase? Before anyone goes, you're being ridiculous. Like, we watched the same video. It looked like something from a Nuremberg
It's
rally.
the press box at Kyle Field that has 2 portraits of Jackie Sherrill in it and nothing of Johnny Manziel. But there's 2 of Jackie. He's on both ends.
You don't think the revised one has? Do you think the revised one has Manziel in it?
I don't know.
Because they redid it. They basically tore the stadium down and built a new one.
Oil money must be great.
What is the baseline for him to keep that fan base sane this year? Because they're not going to win 10 games. Eventually, he's going to be very good. He's put the network, he's put the system in place. A&M's crazy enough with their little brother syndrome that they're going to spend whatever's necessary. But this year, they're going to be pretty average. They're not winning 9 or 10 games this season.
Low-key, one of my favorite moments of A&M's display of money was like 2 or 3 years ago.
The field.
It may even more than that now. When their practice field got flooded, instead of having to go into their indoor and practice, over the weekend they just bought a new one for $600,000 and then had a new practice field the next Monday. Are we convinced?
It's going to be a good time to be a 4 or 5 star player from the Houston area.
Are you saying that Jimbo might?
I'm saying the network's going to get rolling.
I think this is my question though. Are we convinced they can't go 9-3? Seriously, who in the West do you really truly believe in?
Alabama.
Okay.
They're going to lose to Alabama and Auburn. Who do they play from the East?
I'm not convinced they lose to Auburn.
They play South Carolina.
Don't they
right?
get Auburn at home?
They're going to lose to Auburn.
I regret to inform you that I have not memorized the Texas A&M football schedule. We can pull it up.
I'm nearly certain that they get them at home. I mean, when the 12th man takes over.
You and I watched that in person.
It's the strangest place ever because they're like super passionate, yet also super sober, which is like fascinating. We go underneath the student section. And for those that have never been underneath the student section at Vaught Hemingway, it smells like an Evan Williams bottle.
Yeah.
We went under the student section at A&M, and I just remember stopping Chase and going, I don't smell anything. And he looks at me like, what do you mean? I go, I literally don't smell any alcohol. Like, it's the strangest place ever. Like, howdy.
All right, here's Texas A&M schedule. Northwestern State tonight.
Win.
Clemson at home.
Loss.
Ooh.
Harvard on the Bayou at home.
Okay. 2-1.
At Alabama.
2-2.
At Arkansas. Actually, it's in Dallas. It's
3-2.
Yeah.
Arkansas can never beat them.
Kentucky in College Station. At South Carolina.
That's a loss. It's a loss. Move on.
I don't know, man. I think South Carolina. I think South Carolina is that team last year that every break went their way.
We'll get to them in a minute, but that's a loss. Move on now.
At Mississippi State.
Ooh.
It's an L, I think.
Ooh.
At Auburn.
Ooh. And see, at this point, he loses the team.
No.
Because Jimbo's not doing the love on me thing where, Hugh and Houston were very, very good at that. They were able to say, hey, we're going to pull you back. We're going to love on you. Try hard. We'll look up at the scoreboard after 60 minutes.
It's Alabama 2007.
Jimbo's doing the other part. He's doing the, hey, I'm going to hate you until you figure out a way to start.
Like 6-0 or something like that.
Quit on him. Saban's first team quit on him.
Yeah, they started like 6-0. I vividly remember that like 50 spot they put on Tennessee at 11:30. I enjoyed every single one of those points. And then after that, I don't think they won a game.
Well, they lost to ULM.
Yes, it was a trap game.
Yes,
everyone knows.
No,
it was just like Pearl Harbor, if I remember correctly.
We just rolled into Tuscaloosa.
But point being, even when we look at the schedule, we start talking about, hey, where could Ole Miss still win or whatever. A&M doesn't win home games. They have a horrific winning percentage in the SEC at home.
No, you and I were texting one day, and I think we saw that stats. Like A&M has never had a winning SEC record at home, but they've also never had a losing one on the road. Like, it's unbelievable. That's the weirdest stat ever.
The rest of that schedule, by the way, is Ole Miss at home, UAB at home, and then LSU. They finished with 3 in a row at home. Ole Miss, UAB, and LSU.
Guys, how special could that dumpster fire game be with an LSU team that's quit on Orgeron and a A&M team that's already quit on Jimbo Fisher, and he knows that he's probably getting rid of half of them. That could be a special no contest.
Move on inside the league in a second. First, we'll give you the trivia question this week from Blue Delta Jeans. Again, you can write it on a napkin. You can tweet at us. Figure out how you want to get it to us. First one to get it to us wins this. Ole Miss and Texas Tech have met several times prior to this in multiple locations. Give me the series record for the two teams, and then also give me all the locations that they have played to this point. So give me all the different places, the cities they have played.
Can I answer?
And the series record. No, you are not allowed to answer the question. You're up here, so I apologize.
What happened to my blue jeans that I was promised?
We can work that out.
We can get you some jeans.
Just saying.
We can make that happen.
So get that to us. That is from Blue Delta Jeans here on the.
If any of my friends are here, they can. If any of my friends are here, they can text me and I'll give them the answers.
Yeah, that's fine too. Either way, I don't care.
Looking at you, O'Keefe.
Let's move on with the games a little bit. Coastal Carolina plus 30 at South Carolina, 11 a.m. SEC Network. Jeffrey was not even aware that Coastal Carolina was an FBS program.
Did you know that?
I did not know it until I did the lines.
I mean, I legitimately didn't know it. But also, quick shout out to the Sun Belt for getting rid of New Mexico State. They literally just they were a member of the conference, and then basically the Sun Belt's we can start going to Myrtle. We can start going to Myrtle a little more often, and they just took away the status of New Mexico State. So, shout out to the Sun Belt for that. I don't know. I mean, Will Muschamp somehow 4-2. Against the spread in season openers.
Well, let's just use this moment. They're going to beat Coastal Carolina. I don't care about that. But let's use this moment for this. They play Georgia next week. I mean, that's why I took Coastal Carolina, simply because they got Georgia a week later. 30's a lot of points, whatever. But
it's also really hard to cover 30-point lines.
Are they legitimate as a challenger next week? What are we thinking as an early thing on this game?
No. I think Missouri's the second best team in the East. And I think that tells you something, because I think Missouri's decidedly average. With a great quarterback, the rest of the team's average. I think Carolina's just right there. But no, they're not beating Georgia.
I think Columbia. It's early.
I don't care.
Just saying.
This is year 3 of Cadillacs and Mercedes. They're good. They're good. They're immune to it. Everybody's got to get used to this. Georgia's Alabama East on so many levels.
So you think that
they're not going to be the team that gets beat on the road because it's on the road. They're going to get beat on the road because they run into a really good team. Period.
While we're discussing quarterbacks, I'll say it now. I don't think Josh Fields is that good. I mean, not Josh Fields.
Jake Fromm.
Jake Fromm. He throws late. He's not super accurate. And their offensive line is not that great, and he lost. He's got 2 backs right now that are in the NFL. I mean, I feel confident that the Georgia network and the program was able to probably replenish the cupboard. But again, just so many kids want to play for Georgia. I completely understand that. I'm sure it had nothing to do with the way that Georgia recruits, but
see, you're kind of playing them. I thought that at least that game's close next week because Georgia lost everything on the defensive side of the ball. They've had to replace pretty much everything over there. I was hanging out with a Georgia fan over the weekend at the wedding, as kind of tying that back up, and he kept talking about, we're going to score so many points and so many points and so many points, and was all tickled about the offense. If the defense is slacking a little bit, they're at least susceptible a couple times as this thing moves forward.
Does anyone remember the Auburn game, the Georgia-Auburn game at Auburn, when Auburn was able to basically pressure Fromm for most of the game? And does anyone remember the second half of the national championship game? When he gets pressure, he's not good.
I know people are going to hear this tomorrow, but this UCF game, the first play of the game, a kid is apparently pretty severely injured.
For what team? UCF?
I think UCF. It was on a kickoff.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right, toss up. Will the kickoff be in football in 20 years? Yes or
no.
We'll be in there in 5.
No, it won't be here in 3.
Does anyone really care that much? Like, I know football purists are like, whatever. Like, and
here's the thing: if you're the guy that wants football to survive, and you want football to be the game, you're going to have to become a compromiser. And this is going to be something you're going to have to be willing to give up on.
I don't know if anyone knows football coaches, but someone who has a lot of experience dealing with football coaches. They're not exactly compromisers. They're big. It's my way or the highway.
They're going to have to, though, because this is the part of the game that's going to go away.
Well, the only thing it changes is the ability to get onside kicks late in the game and steal possessions. That's it. Now, that's a huge deal, though.
It is, because if you're down 2 scores now, if you're down 2 scores, the game's over.
It just means you utilize your timeouts better.
Ooh, college football coaches having to actually know how to use the clock.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that, but you'll have to get better at it. It'll become a skill that is more valued. Time management. It'll change things like that.
We take a break to tell you that guests join our podcast on the Billy's Pecans hotline. Billy's Pecans has a complete selection of pecans, goodies, jellies, coffee cakes. We tell you about the cinnamon spice pecans all the time. The toasted pecans are awesome. All sorts of chocolate pecans, milk chocolate, dark chocolate, white chocolate, chocolate amaretto, chocolate Grand Marnier, the cheese crispies, I should say, the coffee cakes. Everything's great at Billy's Pecans, whether you're getting ready for a high school tailgate, getting ready for a college tailgate, getting ready to make a road trip to Houston or wherever. Billy's Pecans is a great option. You'll be thrilled that you have some Billy's Pecans with you on your tailgate, on your trip. It's billyspecans.com or 1-800-624-7404. The podcast is also brought to you by 7 South Tailgating. 7 South celebrating 10 years of business this season. Try 7 South once. You'll never tailgate without them again. 7 South will set up your own personal gear, or you can rent everything from them. No one matches their customer service, their attention to detail. Whether you're coming up for one game this fall or all the games this fall or anything in between, whether your tailgate is intricate or really very simple, 7 South can take care of you. 7southtailgating.com. If you're in the Birmingham area and you're in the real estate market, perhaps get in touch with Megan Phillips with LAH Real Estate. She's the person to call for all your real estate needs in the Birmingham area. With almost a decade of experience, Megan's knowledge and expertise can help you buy or sell your home today. So please visit her website at meganmphillips.com. That's MEAGANMphillips.com. Or call Megan at 205-602-7929. Again, 205-602-7929. And this podcast is brought to you by Oxford University Bank. OUB is locally owned and operated right here in Oxford. When you deposit money at OUB, that money and the vast majority of the bank's profits go right back into the Oxford community. OUB gives you the comfort of home, all the benefits the big mega banks provide, all the technology and products you can want, all with the personal touch. When you call OUB, you speak directly with the live person. There's no 10 buttons to press, no 5-minute wait. OUB also offers its customers the absolute best cash checking account. It's called Kasasa. And with Kasasa, OUB will pay customers 2.5% interest on their balances up to $50,000. And with Kasasa, ATM fees nationwide are refunded. OUB also offers online bill pay and mobile check deposit using its online app. To learn more about OUB, check out liveoxfordbankoxford.com or call 662-234-6668. OUB is FDIC insured.
They're going to have to come up with something, right? They're going to have to come up with a way, maybe you get one play from the 25 to try and get the ball back. You get from 25 yards out. If you score, you get a chance.
No, there has to be a compromise.
There's going to have to be something
to not have the game end with a minute
because
and 45
once you're up 2
seconds
scores, which I'm not all that vehemently opposed to. If you're up 2 scores, okay, you kind of deserve to win the game. But there has to be some way to steal possession.
Yeah. Number 8, Auburn, -1.5 against Washington. Number 6, Washington, the Huskies, 2:30 p.m. Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta over the weekend. A little bit split here. We've all got Auburn. Neal McCready over here. He is the Pac-12 homer that is picking Washington to win, which is kind of surprising considering his love for the Auburn Tigers over the years. But he's going against Auburn. Neal, why? Good reason. Good job.
One, because I sort of like being a contrarian.
What?
Two, I'm not sold on Auburn. I'm not sold on Jarrett Stidham.
Agreed there.
They don't have the great running back they've always had. Think about Auburn. They've always had this stable of backs. I mean, they do. I mean, when I covered them.
Remember when Cadillac got hurt and then Ole Miss was like excited? Like he got hurt right before the Ole Miss game, and then Rudy Johnson came in and had like 150.
Ronnie Brown.
It was Ronnie Brown.
He had like 150 at halftime.
I mean, they've always had great running backs. When I covered them, they had Rudy Johnson, Carnell Williams, Ronnie Brown. The list goes on. They don't have that great back this year. I think Washington's much better. I've talked to people who know football significantly more than me who tell me that if what you've envisioned when you picture Washington is the team that got crushed by Alabama 2 years ago, you're going to be surprised.
Okay, so this is my question for those people, because I don't look at that. What I look at is as someone who often loses a lot of money between the hours of 2:30 p.m. and let's call it 10 p.m. There's what I like to call Pac-12 after dark.
Yeah.
And there's this opportunity to maybe parlay 3 Pac-12 games at the same time.
An opportunity to salvage the day.
And then that way you can go into Sunday with a little momentum. And I end up watching a ton of Pac-12. And Jake Browning, when he gets anything in his face, his eyes drop straight down. And it killed them last year because when people were talking, oh, why did he have a slump? Why did he have a slump? And I was like, ooh, pick me, pick me, pick me. I know the answer to this. Like, they couldn't protect him, and he's the guy that if he can't stand back there for 8 seconds and keep his eyes downfield, it gets ugly in a hurry. And so I think that's my biggest question for those people. When people say that the Pac-12 is going to be better this year, I need to know why. Like, I've never seen a league just get better after a year, and like it doesn't just happen overnight. And Washington's not really a team that they just replenished with. Let's just say they didn't hit the recruiting trail really hard.
You're saying they didn't have Georgia's recruiting season?
They didn't have Georgia's recruiting season, and I don't think they had what we'll see from Texas A&M coming up.
Do they have any Mercedes dealerships in Seattle? They probably do, but it's just kind of a different deal than
they're hybrid Mercedes dealerships.
It's a different kind of Mercedes.
Yeah, they're very environmentally conscious.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Jeffrey and I both have Auburn
expensive.
winning this game just simply because of athletes on my side.
I mean, this is the other thing. So for those that don't know, Auburn stinks in these games. Like when they play a ranked team, Neal can tell you, he covered them for 8 years, but when they play a ranked team and they're ranked in the season opener, they have not won a game since the 60s, which sounds like the perfect opportunity to bet on Auburn. So let's bet on Auburn. Zig when they zag, baby.
So we move on with the show. Tennessee +10 in Charlotte against number 17 West Virginia, 2:30 p.m. on CBS. I'm going to tap in Jeffrey in a second, but everybody's telling us Will Grier potentially the best quarterback in the nation. I'm having a hard time with that. We asked Aaron about it on Thursday. He did not agree as well, and he covers the Big 12 since he covers Texas Tech. However, you look at some of these advanced metrics. We talk about A&M not winning at home. We talk about all these different things that we've gleaned over the course of the offseason.
He's the best quarterback in West Virginia.
He is. Yeah. Tennessee is terrible in everything. We don't believe in Jeremy Pruitt. I have no way to pick the balls to cover this football game.
How do they score? They're between playing Guantanamo Bay and Keller Christ. And again, back to my tapping into my Pac-12 knowledge. Keller Christ had the outstanding ability to look concussed when he was perfectly healthy, because you've never seen a guy stand tall with poise and throw into triple coverage but look so confident doing so, quite like Keller Christ. So they're in between playing that and Jared Guantanamo. How do they score?
It's a lot of points. Season opener, neutral site.
Lay them.
If I could lay 17, I would lay 17. Tennessee could be 4-8 bad.
Oh, they could be worse than that.
And I know some will say that's wishful thinking.
Well, it's that too, but they could legitimately be that bad. And they're so arrogant about. They're the worst. They're the worst fans. They're the worst fans in all of sports.
No, they're the Michigan of the South.
Except Michigan occasionally is decent. Tennessee hasn't been good in 20 years.
Michigan and Tennessee have the same amount of national championships since desegregation. And actually, Tennessee has a full one. Michigan only has a half of one.
Yeah, they share it with Nebraska.
And I think that Nebraska team would have probably popped them.
Worst fans in college. Worst fans in sports.
Tennessee.
Yes.
Ooh.
Because they're arrogant about nothing. They had one little mini
over
run.
Florida State, over what we've got going on with Ohio State right now. You're going with Tennessee.
Hold on. Let's not leave Cubs fans out of this. Let's not leave Cubs fans
bandwagon
out of this.
Cubs fans are the worst.
Yeah, they're like the Blackhawks
But the people
fans.
like me are not the worst. And Tennessee,
that's a whole 2.8% of the Cubs fan base.
No,
Yes.
it's more than that. It's more than that. It's more like 3.8%. But you understand my point. The entire Tennessee fan base thinks
that is a good point, because let's say what happened with Urban Meyer happens at Tennessee. It is mass chaos with that fan base. I mean, they would be doing mental gymnastics in directions we've never seen before.
Well,
they would just blindly support him.
One of the best underrated storylines of the whole Ohio State thing is when Meyer got put on indefinite leave or whatever, paid leave, every Tennessee fan asking Dan Wolken why Greg Schiano wasn't named the interim head coach. That was insane. But hey, I don't know if you know this. They run through the T. I don't know if you know this. That's huge.
Jeremy Pruitt, the coach at the end of 3 years?
So we had a...
What's his contract?
I don't know.
Okay.
We had a fun question last night. So we had one of my buddies' birthday parties, and he's a diehard Vol. And one of my other buddies is one of the most obnoxious Georgia fans you know. And he posed the question, if Kirby died today, would Jeremy Pruitt have more wins at Tennessee than Kirby Smart has? And I believe Kirby has 20.
No.
I thought it was a fair question. I thought it was fun.
Well, because I don't see him getting a fourth year. So he would have to go
Now,
7-7-7 on
It
an
is
average
important to
standpoint.
note, Butch got to 34. Butch got 5 years.
And Pruitt's going to recruit. He will do that. He'll put some rosters together.
Butch recruited decently well.
That's what I'm saying. That's why he got that. That's why he got enough time to win 34 games.
He's too much Ed Orgeron for me.
I'm with you.
I just don't think it works.
Speaking of which, let's get to that dumpster fire.
No, that is the doppelganger. It's Pruitt and Orgeron. They're very, very similar in all seriousness.
That's why some of the hardcore Ole Miss people that loved Ed Orgeron were the same ones that loved Jeremy Pruitt.
Pruitt
They're the
is
same dude.
There was that little segment.
Yeah, and if you went back and looked at it, they were the same people.
Dude, when I was with y'all, I spent like 2 years talking about the cult of Orgeron is the weirdest freaking thing. And of all the weird things in the Ole Miss fan base, the cult of Orgeron is by far the weirdest.
Ed Orgeron got more mileage with a certain segment of a fan base for finishing second and third in recruiting battles than anybody I can ever remember.
But you get a lot of players when you finish second recruiting, right?
You kind of do, yeah. Except you don't.
I'll get to Jeffrey's game in a second, just passing through quickly so we cover them all. Central Michigan plus 17 at Kentucky, 2:30
Gross.
ESPNU.
Ugh.
None of us cares. Half of us have Kentucky covering it, half of Central Michigan figuring that one out. Everybody trying to force Benny Snell on me. I'm not giving in yet. It's not time yet. We are not moving on from Ralph Webb
You need
at this
to
point.
rebound. Ralph Webb's not coming back, and you.
Who's your new? Because like
you
That's
need
what we're
to.
saying. I don't have one right now.
Well, it sucks for you because like when Brandon Allen went to the NFL, I had his brother right there with me, so I didn't have to reach. I was able to just go right there, and then I had Baker, obviously, who's my one true love. But who do you rebound with?
Yeah, I think it's honorable.
I think I'm taking a year off.
I think it's honorable that you're
You need
trying
to go
to
find yourself.
Yeah.
that you're taking a year off to discover yourself and all that. But I think
I did get really bugged.
Hey,
We
Neil,
actually
you're not ready to be loved until you can love yourself.
we
so-
actually put in a media
Chase gonna take
request
some time to work on
to get Ralph Webb on the show, and it never got returned.
Well, and seeing that should be enough right there for you to move on.
I got stood up essentially.
I bet Benny Snell would come on the pod.
I bet Benny Snell would come on the pod when his Kentucky career is over. And so you need to go love him.
Did Ralph get picked up? Did he even get a free agent deal?
I don't even know, because he was a shell of himself by the end. I mean, you run behind that Vanderbilt offensive line for 4 years, you don't have the same tread on the tires that
when you get 40 carries a game in the SEC without an offensive line, you don't have enough left to play in the NFL.
Yeah, but he got a degree out of it. So
yeah. Quick aside here.
Did
I've
he
got
really?
Several.
Oh, wait, hold on. Ralph Webb scored 2 touchdowns for the Patriots. Is he going to make the New England Patriots? Oh, my goodness.
Oh, that's the perfect spot for him to land, too. Because Belichick will do exactly what Vanderbilt did to him. He will literally use him until he can use him no more, and then he'll just cut him.
There's nothing left.
We're testing the fabric on these Blue Delta jeans right now.
They
Speaking
look great,
they are stretchy.
We've had several correct answers. The first one came to me over a message over my phone. But anyway, several different answers that have been correct here.
So much room.
3-2 is the answer. Ole Miss leads 3-2. They've won all the neutral site games, twice in Shreveport for Independence Bowls, and then also in Dallas for the Cotton Bowl. Texas Tech won back-to-back 2002, 2003 in Lubbock and Oxford in that home-and-home series as well.
Shout out to Mike Leach.
That's true. Got the 2 wins
Shout
there.
out to David Cutcliffe.
That was a special game. Ole Miss somehow lost and punted less.
The 03 game?
Yeah, it's not often. I think Eli threw for like 440. It's not often you throw for 440.
They kicked 7 field goals.
Well, he threw for 440 and got outthrown by like 225.
I think it was 49-45.
Yeah, that was the final. I think it was also I think Ole Miss kind of got a garbage. I feel like it was really a 2-score game at the end, but Ole Miss got kind of the garbage touchdown, backdoor cover, and then they tried the onside kick and it didn't work.
Take over to tell you that Oxford Wine and Spirits, conveniently located close to campus on College Hill Road and next to the new Lost Pizza, should be your place to buy wine and spirits. Neil and I shop there regularly. Nothing comes into the store unless it's tasted first and the price has to be at below what they believe it should be. For example, something may taste pretty good, but the price does not have value. It does not come into the store. Everyday price is 5% lower than industry standards. Finally, if a podcast listener goes into the store to stock up for the weekend, they can get additional 5% off wine, 10% off liquor if they spend $150 or more, and say they heard about it on the podcast. And when you go to town this year, make sure Oxford Wine and Spirits is your stop to stock up. Also, the Mid-South growing faster than ever, so let Stacy Berry connect you with the real estate option of your dreams, whether it's downtown, midtown, Germantown, or Collierville. Stacy Berry, the name to know in Memphis. Keller Williams, the #1 real estate agency in the world, with #1 in agents, units sold, and volume sold. And the Berry home team is now an integral part of that world-renowned brand. So if you're a first-time home buyer looking to downsize, Stacy will evaluate and determine your current home value and sell it quickly for top dollar. Looking to sell a home, buy a home, or invest in real estate, the Berry home team is the place to know. And let Stacy unlock Memphis for you. 901-481-6420. Stacy Lane Berry at KW.com and the BerryHomeTeam.com. That's Stacy with an E, the name to know in Memphis. Also, once you get the real estate out of the way, Community Mortgage can help you out. Oxford, Memphis, Soto County, and Chattanooga, 30 years old, and one of the oldest mortgage companies in the Southeast, a leader in condo financing and the float-down option, which allows you to lock in the current rate. If rates go down before you close, you get that lower rate. You can find Jason at 662-234-2704 or JLowe, JLOWE at CommunityMTG.com. Also, if you want to take the hassle out of stocking your locker or suite on this game day season, whether it be Vaught Hemingway, the Pavilion, or Swayze Field, Locker Stockers is the people to help you out with that. The customer places the order, and Locker Stockers handles purchase and delivery to your locker or suite before game day. So if you want to lock in that price before the season gets started, give them a call, 662-586-1487, or lockersinfo at lockerstockers.com. And then finally, the podcast brought to you in part by Tyson Drugs, TysonDrugs.com. They have a great app as well, and they're located in downtown Holly Springs. 662-252-2321 is the phone number to find out more about all their different options, including delivering wherever you are. Also now in Oxford with G&M Pharmacy on South Lamar. They have great local service and local delivery in the Oxford area.
UT Martin plays Missouri. I don't care. However, Jeffrey, I will ask one question here. Are you buying Drew Lock?
Yeah, I think Drew Lock's by far the best thrower in the SEC.
Nation?
It's a bad year for quarterbacks. Like, remember when all of your insufferable friends were telling you that 2016 was the worst year ever? Like, oh my God, it's the worst year ever. At least in 2016, we had Rosen, we had Baker, we had Austin Allen, we had Chad. 2016 is gross.
It's a good year to be Drew Lock.
It's a good year to be Drew Lock because he's going to get drafted just because he's a quarterback. Like, it's a good year to be Drew Lock. It's a good year to be Justin Herbert at Oregon. It's a good year to be Will Grier. I think this is the worst quarterbacks this is the worst year for quarterbacks I can remember in a really long time.
Stephen F. Austin at number 18 Mississippi State, 6:30 p.m. SEC Network. I'm just glad Joe Moorhead had the courage to suspend Nick Fitzgerald for the opener on Saturday against Stephen F. Austin. It really takes a man to pull that one off.
Jeff and I were
can't tolerate those sorts of offenses.
Calkins and I were talking about it though, and I made this point to him like it was like our pre-production meeting. If you're a Division I head coach, your first game of the year should always be the bye game. Because let's get real. You're going to have to suspend kids for what they did during the offseason. Have it be the bye game. Have it be the game that doesn't matter. And then that way you can look everyone in the eyes and go, I suspended them for the first game of the year. That's exactly what you should do.
Means you never play any of these kickoff classics.
Ever. Who cares? Auburn's going to play Washington in Atlanta. It's an awesome game. Who cares? You know what I mean? It doesn't do anything it does nothing for either program. Neil was saying this, and I actually, though, I don't know if I agree, dude. Think about this. So you think it's a free shot for both teams?
Yeah, generally.
I think it's a free shot for Auburn. Because if Auburn ends up losing...
I think it's a freer shot for Washington.
See, I think if Washington loses, they have to run the table. And they've got to run the table and win a conference championship game. And they play in a league where you have 9 conference games. So they got to win 10. They've got to win 10 conference games, and then they have to win. So they're going to have to win 12 in a row. I don't really, because that's the thing. I don't think they're going to get the benefit of the doubt.
Whereas Auburn, in theory, could beat Alabama and be right back there, and it doesn't matter.
If you win the SEC West, you win the SEC championship, you're going to be in the playoff, one way or the other.
Skipping over a couple other bye games just because they simply do not matter, and then Middle Tennessee plus 3.5 at Vanderbilt, 6:30 p.m. Vanderbilt, Kyle Shermer's okay, but they are historically bad potentially.
Are they?
Yes.
Are they that much worse than last year?
Yeah, they haven't replaced anyone defensively. They're worse defensively than last year.
Ooh, that's bad. I mean,
Ralph Webb's gone, all jokes aside.
To me, Kyle Shermer is spectacularly average, which given how bad this year is for quarterbacks, that makes him pretty good. So, as long as they can do the little bootleg thing and get him out, I think didn't we see this game last year? Wasn't it 30-6? And it was in Murfreesboro. I don't know how this is any different.
No.
Ralph Webb's not playing.
R.I.P. Are you okay? I feel like you're in denial.
Yeah, that's why I kind of wanted to say it in an understated way. I didn't want to.
I've looked around. I've made efforts.
So you're like Dylan when Laramie left.
Is Benny Snell too much like Ralph Webb for you to move on?
There is a lot of similarities now. I mean,
do you need something completely different?
Benny might be a little more talented.
Also weird.
I jumped on the Larry Rose bandwagon when Ole Miss played whatever New Mexico school that was for a couple days there.
Yeah, the bigger problem, though, that you're going to have is, when a guy plays in the Eastern time zone, it really throws you off. And then, it's a very difficult thing to make work because... So
were you the type when the girl dumped you, you went for a completely different kind of girl? Or did
you completely roulette. You don't follow the blonde with the blonde. You find the brunette the next time, and then you move from there.
So what you're saying is that Benny is too much like
Absolutely.
Ralph. So are you going like a wide receiver, or you need to find a defensive back now for a little while?
He needs to find the 2018 equivalent of that white running back for Louisiana Tech that ran for 200 on Ole Miss. You need to find that guy. That's the exact opposite.
Whoever the Danny Woodhead is.
You need a nice, gritty, tough guy that catches passes out of the backfield.
Speaking of gritty, number one Alabama minus 24.5 versus Louisville 7 p.m. I'm glad the Louisville offensive lineman is already throwing some trash talk out to Alabama. Says if they can dominate Alabama on the defensive line, start fast, they're in great shape, which is true. If they pull that off, Jeffrey, they are wonderful on Saturday night.
And if I hit a growth spurt and then start growing abs, I might be a little more desirable to females. Like, it totally could happen. Like that makes zero. Why would you say, if you're playing Alabama, why would you say anything other than what an outstanding opportunity to play one of the greatest programs that college football's ever seen? It's an unbelievable challenge. I hope.
I told Neil. I think.
Why would you say anything other than that?
I think he's trying to motivate his teammates. I said that on this morning's show. I think it's a public declaration.
Bad strategy.
Do it in a private team meeting.
Yeah, but you're openly.
That's stupid.
I just know that anytime Alabama is one of the greatest programs at looking and making up motivation, why would you do their job for them? I remember when they tried to take what did Bo say? They took something that Bo said completely out of context, and then Alabama made it into a big deal. And Bo's actual quote was, "They're really good."
Here's the thing. I told Chase this on Thursday's podcast. I've talked to someone inside that program who said it's really a challenge to get them motivated to play sometimes because every week's the Super Bowl. They take everybody's big shot, and after a while it just becomes routine. Hey, we're playing a big game. They used the Mississippi State game in the year that Ole Miss and State were so good, 2014. They used that game as an example. They said even though Mississippi State was number one in the country coming into that game, if you had gone through that locker room and said, what's Mississippi State's ranking? More than half of the guys on that team at Alabama wouldn't have known. They played 6 Super Bowls already. And then Dak Prescott made the comment, well, yeah, last year was different because I didn't play. And they turned that into this big thing, and they sacked him 9 times, and it became this who can sack him, because to talk trash to him on the field, you needed to sack him so that you basically were laying on top of him when you said it. And
what are you talking about, Neil? It's a one-score game.
And so it was just, that was the deal. But the point was, this was someone inside the Alabama program who said, we were absolutely ripe to get knocked off that day because even though they were number one, we'd played so many big games. We were a little tired. We were a little fatigued. Auburn was still coming. We had just played LSU, all that stuff. Guys were kind of spent, and that all the internal motivation stuff wasn't working. They weren't watching the polls because they have a coach who tells them not to watch the polls.
It's rap.
So they don't watch the polls. They didn't know State was number one. They thought Mississippi State was just Mississippi State.
That is still the all-time best Dan Mullen quote. That game that Neil's referencing, that was if you watch the game, it was a bloodbath. But State had a 6-minute drive down 15 points, and they scored with 38 seconds left. And when Dan was asked about how lopsided the game was, he, with a straight face, said, "What are you talking about?"
Well, no one can backdoor cover a spread better than Dan Mullen.
Backdoor cover, baby. Dan always knows the line, too. He is the poster child for coaches that cover.
The nightcap, the headliner for the SEC, the last game, all the main events done. It's on Sunday.
By the way, did we all lay them? Did we all lay?
Yeah, we all laid them. Alabama against Louisville
for sure.
Number 25 LSU. They are ranked. Oh my God, +3 versus Miami. 6:30 p.m. AT&T Stadium, Arlington, Texas, on ABC. The Nation gets Mark Richt against Ed Orgeron
with an entire 8 months to prepare. Who do I want to take my chances on? Ed Orgeron with 8 months to think about it, or Mark Richt with 8 months to think about it. And it's a field goal. To me, this is the easiest bet of the weekend. And I can't wait to eat my words. But
see, I kind of forgot I had to put this out publicly. I picked LSU to win.
I know you did. I saw that.
Did you? I think Burrow is going to be okay. Not great, okay. They're great defensively. In Miami, they lived off the turnover chain. They got off to that hot start. They lost the last 3 games of the season last year, including a 10-point defeat to Pitt. They were terrible at the end of the year.
They were good at the beginning, though.
They were good at the beginning. I just think
so. It's
talent wins out on this game Sunday.
So it's like every Mark Richt year ever.
Yes.
Where Mark
Richt's teams are always good at the beginning.
Yeah, because he's a better coach.
Yeah.
Ed Orgeron is a really bad football coach. I don't think people comprehend that. Like, it matters. In these games, it matters. Like, LSU's been good defensively before. Why is this year any different?
All I see when I look at that schedule is losses. I think
It could be so much. I mean,
they're going to lose to Miami. They're going to lose at Auburn.
Yeah, we've been through this. It's the middle of the schedule. If you give them a loss to Miami, they're 0-1, and then they have this stretch here after Southeastern Louisiana, so 1-1. They're at Auburn. They play La Tech, so they're 2-2.
I'm telling you, be careful.
That Ole Miss game
be careful
is a
the way you
crazy
dismiss
swing
that
game
Louisiana
right after
Tech
that.
game.
here's the other thing that you're also completely neglecting.
But real quick, then it's LSU, Georgia State, Alabama, and then at Arkansas. If they're as bad as we're talking about the potential is, if Burrow's not any good, they could go 4-8.
Chase, if Burrow's not good, they could lose to Louisiana Tech.
4-8.
Well, they lost last year to Troy. Let's not act like that anything's out of the realm of possibility. But what you're also neglecting is, Chase, this is going to be a close game more than likely. And Ed is the king of, I have to put my hands on this game. If it gets close, he has to do something. The last thing you want Ed to do in a game that matters is coach. Like, you want him to be nothing. You want him to stand on the sidelines and be a cheerleader and be like just chugging Red Bull and then chest bumping his players. You don't want him making decisions because he's a very dumb person.
Nothing to add there now.
I mean, yes or no?
I don't disagree with the word of that. I think they could lose to Miami, Auburn. If you told me they lost to Ole
Excuse me, I
Miss,
gotta change my
I'd
pants
buy
here.
it. I'm telling you, if you told me they lost to Louisiana Tech, I'd buy it.
Well, they could be the now look, if they don't get any quarterback play at all, they could be the one team that Chad Morris hangs his hat on this year. That game's in Fayetteville.
I know.
Because Arkansas is not going to be any good. They're trying to run a whole different scheme with a team that can't do it.
But his team won't quit on him. They'll keep
No,
playing.
he's going to love on him. He's going to be the anti-Jimbo Fisher. He's going to do the Hugh Freeze Houston
They're going to
thing.
play for him all year. Arkansas is a bad football team, but they're going to beat somebody. Book it.
There's also some team that goes to Fayetteville in November, and that is like the strangest place to play. Like,
It's cold, wet, weird. You get beat.
Someone's dream always dies in November at Fayetteville.
Arkansas will upset somebody. Book it. They're a bad football team, but they will beat somebody who's better than them before the season's over.
Plus, we also got Cajun Ryan Mallett for another year, right?
We do.
Excited about that.
So as we wrap back around here at the end of the show, Ole Miss, Texas Tech, 11 o'clock Saturday. We mentioned this stat, Jeffrey. We'll close with this. We picked Ole Miss to win. However, from a player standpoint, who has to do it for Ole Miss? Who are you looking at for Saturday?
I mean, not to be cliche, but it's got to be Jordan. I mean, plain and simple.
Protecting the ball.
He can't turn it over because if they don't turn it over, he's got better play. Like, in my opinion, there's more mismatches when Ole Miss is on offense versus Texas Tech defense versus when Texas Tech is on offense and against Ole Miss's defense. So if Jordan plays well, I think they win.
And you're Scotty Phillips now.
Yeah, I'm Phillips. I mean, but I agree with everything he just said about Jordan Tamu. And then on the defensive side, Mohamed Sanagu has to play well.
Not only play well physically, but get everyone else in the right position.
Yeah.
Because he's absolutely the traffic coordinator for that defense. I mean, Ruggs can't start unless Sanogo's in the game with him to kind of help him go wherever he needs to go. So
Right.
Muhammad's got a lot on him on Saturday against this Tech team that's going to try to run it at least early. I still think that if you stop them, you score, they panic a little bit, they start throwing it around, and then it gets a little squirrely. But we'll see.
I don't know. I guess the other issue is while Texas Tech has been largely disappointing under Kingsbury, they've been pretty good in the first months. Like, they're usually like the team that collapses. Like, they get to October, it must be like something in the water in Texas, but like their September like is always pretty good. But then usually in October, that's when they go on that stretch where you're like, how did they lose to everyone?
Then halftime score important. I mentioned this on Thursday morning show, mentioned it again here. And Jeffrey, I don't think it's heard it. Cliff Kingsbury, when trailing at halftime, 2-27 in his career. Obviously, nobody's going to be great there because they're losing for a reason. However, 2-27 for Kingsbury during his career when trailing at halftime.
That could give Hugh Freeze run for his money.
Yeah. We'll close there. Appreciate Jeffrey coming down today. Again, remember, you got a watch party here on Saturday morning, opening at 10 o'clock, doing $4 red and blue daiquiris, doing $4 screwdrivers, and $15 chicken Alfredo pizzas. So appreciate everybody. We'll talk to you again next week.